Yeah, all right. Hey, we're live. Hey, hello, everybody. So while I'm waiting for a few people who may or may not show up, I'm going to go ahead and just share this on the Facebook. Welcome, welcome. It's Monday. So as you recall from last week, if you were here, my challenge to myself is to pop in here every Monday. I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to sort of debrief, review, go over what I got from Grant's strategy of the week. This week, we're going to do something a little extra special. This week, I'm actually tweaking what I did, or what the strategy of the week was, to make it more applicable to Cardone University. So let me just share this here. Share to a group. Share. Boom. All right, so shared that. Let me just get out of here. How's everybody doing? Did you guys have a good weekend? Right? So here's the opening of the strategy, which I thought was important. It's people say you should never blow your own horn. I say, why have a horn if you can't blow it? So what I love about that is that there should be no apologizing for talking about what's great about our program. And if you're in sales, there should be no apologizing. You should not feel weird about talking about how amazing your product or your service is. So in this case, I'm going to talk about Cardone University today because this program is awesome. It's amazing, and I'm going to toot that program's horn to the fullest extent that I can. So the reason that Cardone University exists, there's several, but there's a couple of main ones. The average American reads one book a year. Most salespeople never read one book on selling. We're banging out 3 to 4 videos a day on YouTube, and most people in this day and age are now spending just shy of 10 hours on the internet. Now, is that per day? Is that per week? Does it matter? A lot of people are spending about 8 to 10 hours a day online, right? Courtesy of this, I got multiple devices going at the exact same time. So I'm sitting here talking to you, and then I just shared my own stream on Facebook using my phone. So 9 hours a day on the internet, pretty possible thing. So as a leader or in a sales organization, do you want some skin in that game? Do you want to have a little bit of say-so in what they're viewing on the internet? Definitely. Cardone University gives you that power. So I'm going to give you guys, for those of you that are watching, 5 tips that I've taken from Cardone University based on Grant's strategy of the week last week. So, and then also, if you want, is there some ways that you might be able to find and access some of that data? I'm wondering if I could do, no, okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down there. If you want to participate in the conversation, feel free to drop a comment down there. Happy to have you here. Thank you for watching. Okay, you ready? All right, so tip number 1 is this. Everything in life is a sale, and your entire life is a commission. Now, let me just say that again, because a lot of people don't like to work on commission, which is why they're not in sales. But let's just think about this for a second. So here's the quote. Everything in life is a sale, and your entire life is a commission. This comes from Grant's book, Sell or Be Sold, which has also then been moved into Cardone University in terms of a fundamental package. We call it Fundamentals of Selling basics and understanding the buyer. Those are what those 2 things are about, okay? So if you look at selling as a way of life, you can, what are the kind of commissions are out there? What commissions, it's not just about the money. At least it shouldn't be, right? When you do something, when you put forth effort and you win as a result, that's a commission. So it's not just a monetary event. Grant talks about recognition, getting a raise, getting a promotion, you get a new friend, you get a new lover, right? Commission, okay? And then the other thing I want you to think about while we're here is that everybody is on commission. And you think, well, no, I get paid by the hour, or I get a salary, or I get whatever. Hey, listen, if the company stops producing revenue, you're not getting paid. In fact, the company's out of business, okay? So Grant says this, that the number 1 reason a business fails is because it fails to sell in quantities great enough and at margins high enough to keep the company solvent. So if the company isn't selling, they're not solvent, and then they're out of business and you're out of work. So regardless of what your name tag says, regardless of what your business card says, regardless of what the placard says on your desk, okay, if you're employed by a company then to some degree, you're participating and helping in the selling of the goods and the services that are required. So you too are part of the sales team. So if you're a manager thinking about this, would it make sense for every person in the company to have some fundamental understanding of selling, communication, right? The right mindset, the right attitude? Would that make sense? Yes. So what we've done with Cardone U is we've built out literal sections within the program that aren't just for salespeople, but it's for any customer-facing employee to be able to communicate better with a client, to be able to ask the right questions and move somebody into a process that's about service, right? Customer service, communication, sales, fundamental sales. Everybody needs this stuff. It's not just the sales team. It's everybody. Okay, so tip number one, everything in life is a sale. Your entire life is a commission. Does that make sense about the commission part? If the company's not selling, you're not getting paid. So whether it's you consider it an hourly wage or a salary or whatever, that's a commission, right? So let's get into number two. You can and should be a millionaire if you simply think bigger from the start and then hyper focus. So I had an idea about this before I started working for Grant. What's up, Jared? I had an idea about this before I started working for Grant, but I wasn't able to solidify it until I actually started working for him, started studying the content even deeper than I had before. So money is another word for freedom. And every time I think about that, I remember being in a sales meeting, and the sales manager in this meeting that I was in, this is when I was still selling cars, he says, if you had $1 million, I think it was, what would you buy with $1 million? And everybody in the meeting was coming up with all this really cool stuff. And he comes to me and he says, what would you buy? I said, time. And he looked at me like I had 10 heads. He's like, what? I said, I would buy time. I would buy time is money. Time is money, right? We all say that. So one of the things that comes with money that Grant talks about is freedom. Money buys you time. Money buys you freedom. Those are the only two, those are the two big things you should be thinking about. What can I get with money? Time and freedom. Right? Because everybody's complaining about not having any time anyway. So the more money you have, the more time you can buy. Think about that. If you have $100 million in the bank, do you have to go to your job? No. You have time to do things that you want to do. But in order to do that, there's a price. You got to pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow, which is I don't have to do that if I don't want to. Right? There's that whole FU money thing. Right? Okay. So what ideas about money, this is the question that you need to start asking yourself right now, is what ideas about money are holding you back? Have you ever thought about what money truly should be exchanged for? Time and freedom. Time and freedom are kind of one and the same to a degree, wouldn't you agree? So what ideas about money and about wealth are deep down inside you that you've been trained into since you were a kid about money that might be holding you back, that might be in your way? And if you're thinking about this in terms of having a sales team, if you have a sales team, what ideas about money do they have that are holding them back? Because how is anybody going to create real financial freedom for themselves, which ultimately would be you as a leader in your sales organization? How are they going to do that if their head's all weirded out about money? If they think money's the root of all evil, how are they going to go make more? Right? So how are your people going to close more deals if they're thinking in terms of limits and scarcity? That's the question. So if your entire staff was looking to build a future for themselves and their family that didn't really have any limits, that was literally based on creating more time for myself and my family and more money so I could do that, would they view things differently? Would their perspective be bigger, right? How would they treat your customers? Would they treat them very differently, considering that they know that this person in front of me right now is literally contributing to me having more time, more freedom with my family in the future? Because the money you have in your pocket right now, that's not your money. That's somebody else's money. You're just holding on to it for a while. You got it from somebody else. You're going to give it to somebody else, right? It's a classic Cardone lesson. So inside Cardone University, we have now built out, we have 4 main courses that are specifically designed to get your head right about money. One is called the Price Myth, 6 segments in there, and they're sick. Then we got your buyer's money, which is understanding how other people might think about or perceive money so that you can handle that effectively. Okay. Then we have a personal finance course in there. And this, again, was literally designed to get your people or yourself reacclimated to what the true purpose of money is and what to do with it, how to get more of it, and how to make sure that when you have it, you don't blow it, that it's actually that you're multiplying it, not adding to it, multiplying it. Okay. And then we have a full money and finance webinar. That's 13 segments. There's like probably at least 8 to 10 hours of content inside Cardone University, just geared towards really understanding not how the middle class view money, but how the wealthy view money and where you need to get your head in terms of money. Okay. So that tip number 2 is you can and should be a millionaire if you simply think bigger. And you start then from hyper-focus. So the exercise I'd give you after this thing is just start looking at, hey, what are my beliefs about money right now? And how are they? In what ways holding me back? Okay. So you want to get out of just think. What do I mean by that? Just want to be happy. Just need enough. Right? Just a little bit. Just enough. That word just is so dangerous. Okay. So think about things, like what are ideas about money and about just getting by that literally they're in your way and they limit your potential because you're not thinking big enough. Okay. So that literally transitions us very easily into tip number 3, which in this case is about the 10x rule, which starts with thinking bigger. So the 10x rule establishes the right levels of action and thinking that guarantees success. Not if, when. Okay, so we don't want to think in terms of ifs. We want to start thinking in terms of when. Okay, so that means creating a future. So here's what Grant says about that. Whether your goal is to improve the planet's social conditions or to build the most profitable company in the world, you will be required to use 10x think and actions to get you there. Grant talks a lot about that. I've made this mistake myself, is that you just don't think big enough. And Grant says the biggest mistake he ever made is just not thinking big enough. And if you look at where he's at, okay, so if the goal is time and money, then you're going to have to increase your think in terms of action, effort, and you got to make sure you're not operating from any mindset that deals in limits and shortages. Does that make sense? Okay. It's not just about money, though. Can't be. It's got to be about time and freedom. So whatever reason in my opinion is another word for excuse. Whatever reason you have for not being where you want to be in life right now, Grant tells you in the 10X rule that it isn't a matter of education, talent, connections, personality, lucky breaks, money, technology, being in the right industry, or even being in the right place at the right time. Creating success will require that you think bigger and go bigger. So at the end of a highly successful endeavor, think about this. Think about something that you have done that was a successful action that created a win for you. Think about it. When you were done and you had to work towards it, right? It wasn't something that just happened. It was something that you worked towards. You had to take a lot of action. There was a lot of effort involved. You got it, okay? Most victors are proud but not satisfied, meaning they know they could have done more. That's what they're thinking about. Man, I could have done more. And what I think about every time I hear this, I don't think about prosperity, success monetarily. I'm reminded of the scene at the end of Schindler's List when Arthur Schindler, played by Liam Neeson in that movie, literally breaks down realizing that he could have saved more. He's looking at the watch on his wrist, or I think a pen on his lapel. Like he goes, I could have gotten another name. I could have gotten one more life. He just starts. But look at how successful his actions were and how many people he saved. But at the end of the day, he's like, okay, I'm proud of this, but I could have done more. And it kills him inside. He knows he didn't tap his full potential. And that's what that's about. So it's not just about success at this high level. Money's a scoreboard, yeah, but like, man. So Grant goes on to say that most people only work enough so that it feels like work. It's Monday, right? Everyone's like, oh, I gotta go back to work, right? And then on Friday, thank God it's Friday. And then Wednesdays is hump day. It's like we're all thinking about when we're not supposed to work, which means what? It's an indication that you're not working enough, honestly. So Grant says most people only work enough so that it feels like work, whereas successful people work at a pace that gets such satisfying results that the work is a reward. So remember, there's this video on YouTube with Eric Thomas talking about how, who was it? Crap. It's a performer, right? And they're like, they went for like 2 or 3 days just banging out music, and they didn't even eat and they didn't sleep, and they're just grinding because they're in their place of passion and expression, and that's where they love to be. And so for them, that ain't work, you know? So truly successful people don't even call it work. For them, it's a passion. Why? Because they do enough to win. And that's the next thing you really got to start looking at, man, is how are you winning? Are you? And if you're not, you got to start creating wins. And sometimes that's just you versus you. You need to maybe create a win in your brain. Maybe set any target and hit it. And if you're not getting the big wins, you got to start creating these little micro wins, right? So how do you get your entire staff thinking like this, right? Like how many phone calls, like if you don't sell anything, but if you can make 120 phone calls in a day as a salesperson, is something going to come from that? I mean, if you put that much outflow out there, you're going to get something, you're going to get a win. You're going to say, hey, how many phone calls can I make in 15 minutes? Bing, that's a one. That's a win. I won, boom. See if I can make 15 dials or talk for 15 minutes. Go get it. That's a win, right? Let's give myself 5 or 6 different things to do. So let's say I don't sell anything, but let's say I make 150 phone calls, I set 6 appointments, I do 4 demos, and I send out 4 proposals. Is something coming from that? Is that a win? Is that a victory? Outflow is always senior to inflow, okay? So then that's not even work, right? So how do you get your entire staff starting to think this way? How do you start getting these guys to think that work is not a grind, a negative grind, but a passion? How do you do that? Well, we've created a 4-step process for doing that. And that's what Cardone University entails. So it's not just about sales training. It's about leadership and development for the people that are in a position to hold their people accountable for doing something every single day to get better. So we've created a 4-step process to help leadership in an organization work with their team every single day to make sure that these guys aren't just physically at work, but they're mentally here and their heart's in it too. So that takes me to tip number 4. This is going faster than I thought. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so tip number 4 is this. If you're going to drive that revenue line, you have to teach your people how to do it. They didn't learn that in high school. They didn't learn it in college. Their parents didn't teach them how to do it. And if you want to teach them, you got to train them. That's the reality. So if you're a leader in a sales organization, you're watching this right now, the idea that they should want it is noble and completely understandable. But you also need to take full responsibility for 2 things. Number 1, you being the best version of you, and then holding them accountable for being the best version of them that they can be. Because if you think about it, when you were in sales, was there somebody that pushed you? And they don't even have to work with you. It could have been a parent, it could have been an uncle, it could have been somebody that you looked up to, right? Like Grant pushes me. I don't talk to Grant every single day, but I know where he's at, and I know what he's created. And I know that because he's done it, he's shown me that it's possible. And here's a real personal example on that, because in 2007, one of the things that I was struggling with at that point was alcoholism at a deep level. And when I finally got to the place where I decided to put the bottle down and stop swimming in it, one of the things that kept me laser focused on not picking it back up again was, hey, that man did it. And if he can do it, and then rise up to where he's at right now, I can do it. So you have to show your people, you have to be the example to them first and foremost about what success looks like, about what discipline looks like. Okay. And if you don't have it, then you got to get it so you can exemplify it to your people because they need it. Because they're the people that are driving your revenue line. It'd be like running a car without oil, right? If your people, even if we minimize them down to cogs, spokes in a wheel, you still got to put fuel in that vehicle. And Cardone University is the fuel. It's the oil. It keeps things loose, keeps things going so things aren't grinding and breaking up, not working right. Okay, so Cardone University is fuel for your people. Check this out, though. Two main reasons it's incredibly hard to do this. 82% of the managers we talk to, they're like, I'm too busy to do that shit. I'm way too busy. You kidding me? Yeah, I sold cars for almost 10 years, right? Jared, he's watching this right now. He's been in the car business, right? Tuesday at 2:30 in the afternoon, you're trying to work 3 deals. You're a manager. You're trying to work 3 deals. You're handling a service heater, right? It's 2:30. You haven't even ordered lunch yet. Your kid's soccer game starts in 90 minutes and nobody's answering the damn phone. And salesman Billy's over there trying to help the guy that's shopping him against 6 other stores and he can't get him to come in for an appointment. Who's helping him right now? Not you. Right? So what do we do, right? 82% of the managers, right? Is that true in your company? Are you just literally too busy, right? Second thing is that there's no leadership training. A lot of managers got into management because they could produce. Didn't mean they know or doesn't mean they know how to take the skills that they have that made them successful salespeople and transfer that to somebody else. That's a whole different set of skills, right? So most managers don't have any real leadership training. So if you're a manager and you're watching this, do you have any of these 7 problems? Check this out. Can't find good people in your market. Salespeople, right? Your salespeople are not engaged like you are. They don't have the same level of commitment that you do. They're underperforming and they don't hit their quotas, okay? They don't follow up. Salespeople don't follow up. They can't close a deal. Time management's a huge issue. There's no time for training and development. Your competition's undercutting your price. Are those any of your problems? Did you have all 7 of them today? It's entirely possible that you did. So the question I would ask you, between the 7 though, which one is your greatest opportunity for an increased sales and revenue? Because when we have people on Cardone University, it's not just about giving solutions that make your people better. It's about giving you the tools you need so that you can motivate your staff and transfer the skills that you have to make them micro versions of you. You ever sat in a manager's meeting, you're like, man, if we just had like 15 more Steves, we'd be all right. How do you find out what makes Steve tick? And then go out there and look for duplicates. Cardone University can help you with that. Okay. So how rare is it when you actually have time, to leave you don't have time to send people off to anything, right? And you don't want to take people off the floor to do that either, right? So what if you could just have like these little micro Cardone seminars in your company every single day? 18, 20 minutes of just grant. What would that do? How would that impact your bottom line? Okay. Just giving you something to think with. Okay. So if you were to hard target whatever one of those 7 things that I just talked about, if you hard targeted that specific issue for like 2 weeks, what would that do? So we want to help managers and leaders first. Why? Because you guys drive the ship. Salespeople are the lifeblood of the company. They're the lifeblood of the engine. Okay. Nothing happens without those guys. Nothing happens if a sale is not. Nothing happens until something gets sold. So we need them. We need to make sure that they're operating at their highest performance or their highest potential. But that also means that we need to keep you in shape. We need to keep you game on. And we also need to give you the tools so that you can game on them. Okay? So let's get into tip number 5 and we'll wrap this thing up. What are you hearing so far that you like? What's making sense? What's resonating with you? What's the thing that you're like, man, I got to think about that, right? So number 5, most deals only close when the salesperson closes the deal, not because someone likes you, your company, your ideas, or even your presentation. In the Closer Survival Guide, Grant says that the close represents 20% of your money and 100% of your time. Or no, sorry, I just did it backwards. I'm literally reading it. I just did it backwards. The close represents 20% of your time and 100% of your money. That was not a Freudian slip. That was just a little less Dixia. See what I did there? Okay, let's just start that one over. The close represents 20% of your time and 100% of your moolah. So now most salespeople struggle in the close, though, myself included, just be honest, because they either didn't fully understand what the close is, they don't understand fully what the close is, how important it is, or they don't have enough ammo to stay in front of somebody long enough to get a deal done. Now, this just doesn't mean closing material. This also means follow-up. When somebody says no, or I need to wait, or they add time to a transaction, that doesn't mean you're done, right? That means we have work to do. Follow-up starts immediately. First no is the first step of follow-up, but it is also the beginning of the close. Those two things go hand in hand, okay? Once you transition from selling into closing, you don't go back, you just stay closing, which also might mean I'm going to need to follow this guy up until I get a deal. Okay, so on the ammo thing, if a salesperson had 5 different ways to handle every objection they've ever heard in their career, would they view their job differently? Yes. So Cardone University has over 350 different closes, objections, and corrections that can be used on the fly, 15-second or less closes that you can use to either load lips, warm up for an appointment, or debrief a deal. Either way, this guarantees that if you're not winning, that you're learning. And we already talked about the importance of winning, right? So if you're not winning, you're learning. No losing. And we talk about close or lose. Take the C off the word close. What do you got? Lose. Okay? But let's also make sure that if you do, that there's something learned from it. So you're transitioning your losses into something positive. So we've got more than one way to skin the closing cat. But the bottom line is 5 ways to handle every objection you've ever heard is in there. And there's more than one way to learn it and to get it and understand it so you can duplicate it later. Okay? 2 things need to happen to get the job done for a sales guy: conviction and certainty. But they need your help to get there. So I've dropped 5 quick tips. I don't know if it was quick enough. What was the first one? You want to do the first one? Let's just recap, shall we? Everything in life is a sale. Your entire life is a commission. You can and should be a millionaire if you simply think bigger from the start and then hyper-focus. The 10X rule establishes the right levels of action and thinking to guarantee success. If you're going to drive that revenue line, you have to teach your people how to do it. And then most deals only close when the salesperson closes the deal. Okay? Not because someone likes you, your company, your ideas, or even your presentation. Which one of those 5 spoke the loudest to you? If you're watching this right now, maybe you're catching a rerun of it later. Maybe I repurposed it and put it on YouTube, and that's where you're watching it. Which one of these 5 things spoke the loudest to you? And what if you could get a better handle on that one thing in just 7 days? Because look, there is a way. If you're a leader in a sales organization and you're watching this thing, there is a way to train your salespeople, and there's also a way not to. Okay? And the reason most things fail is a lack of knowledge in how to. When you play a game, what game do you naturally gravitate towards? The one you're good at, the one you know how to play. So if you're a salesperson and you say, I could never do sales, right, or I could never be on commission, it's because there's something you don't know about it. There's something you don't understand. There's a how-to that you're not real clear on. So if you're a manager in a sales organization and you don't think sales training works, the reality probably is there's something you don't know about sales training. You may have tried it in the past and it just didn't quite go the way you wanted. Am I right? It's because there's usually something that we didn't know about it. And we didn't win at it. And when you don't win, you don't want to play. So you have to make a decision to get better at it. Because if not Cardone University, then what? Because you got to do something. Remember, we have to teach our people how to drive the revenue line. They're the lifeblood. We got to keep them going. We got to keep gas in the engine and oil. So if not this, then what? You got to do something. Okay? So if you're not winning in the sales game, or if you're not winning in the sales training game, then I would like to offer you access to Cardone University. I would like to offer you free, no charge, just time. Time is money. Just your time. Let me go over the 4 steps. The 4 steps Grant has come up with to take any sales team from the bad news bears to the greatest. If you guys are good now and you want to level up, you drop these 4 things on everybody, you will level up. Whether you do business with us or not, you drop these 4 things into your world, guarantee an increase in sales, profitability, volume, and reductions in cost and expansion in market share, just by doing these 4 things. And these 4 things, you're probably already doing them already. But it's when and how much. You put ingredients in a cake to make a cake. If you don't get the dosing right, it's a weird ass cake. Okay? So it's just when, how, timing, right? Time in the oven. Okay? So if you want to take me up on this, if you want to get 7 days free access to Grant's program where you can not only test drive the training, but also test drive our 4-step formula for creating a sales team of excellence, reach out to me. You got a couple different ways of doing this. You can shoot a call out, 818-427-5188. That's my cell phone. You can also shoot an email out, david@grantcardone.com. You can hit up a website, cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. There's more than one way to do it, but those are the top 3, okay? Shoot me a call, hit me an email, or give me an email, shoot a call, send an email, or hit that website, cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. So, hey, thank you so much for being here, man. This was 33 minutes. It was a little bit longer than I wanted. I wanted to be out in 20, but I tend to yap. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hope you got something out of this. Leave me some comments below on what you did or didn't get out of it. What do you want me to talk about? If there's something I can handle for you specific, tune in next week, Monday, about the same time. We'll cover Grant Strategy of the Week all over again. Thanks again. Have a great week. Happy Monday to you.